Hi, friends. I am Pastor Alex Rooting of First United Methodist Church in Jessup, Iowa, and we are here for another Woman Wednesday. I want to give a little disclaimer before we start this Woman Wednesday that we're going to be talking about sexual assault today. So it might be triggering for some people. So I want to give you the opportunity to go ahead and exit out of the video now. But I also want to encourage you that if it is uncomfortable for you, but you're able to keep watching, to learn more, and to reach out to me. I would be more than happy to talk with you about anything that comes up from watching this video. It's not an easy topic, but I think it's a topic that we really do need to address in our world today and in our society. And looking at Song of Songs is a perfect time to address that because Song of Songs has an incident of sexual assault as well. So, to victim survivors, I hold you in my prayers. I believe you. I'm here if you want to talk. Um, to family members and friends, I encourage you to reach out to those who you know are victim survivors, to be a listening ear for them. And if you need a listening ear, I'm here for you as well. So we're going to start in Song of Songs today. And there are many things I love about Song of Songs. I've shared with many of you how Song of Songs is my favorite book in the Bible. This is one part of the Song of Songs that really causes me a lot of distress. So we're going to pick up in chapter 5 of Song of Songs. And I'm going to read with you this morning. So we're going to start at verse 2. And we're going to go through verse 7 today. I slept, but my heart was awake. Listen, my beloved is knocking. Open to me, my sister, my love, my dove, my perfect one. For my head is wet with dew, my locks with the drops of the night. I had put off my garment. How could I put it on again? I had bathed my feet. How could I soil them? My beloved thrust his hand into the opening, and my innermost being yearned for him. I arose to open to my beloved, and my hands dripped with myrrh, my fingers with liquid myrrh upon the handles of the bolt. I opened to my beloved, but my beloved had turned and was gone. My soul failed me when he spoke. I sought him, but did not find him. I called him, but he gave no answer. Making their rounds in the city, the sentinels found me. They beat me, they wounded me, they took away my mantle, those sentinels of the walls. So, what is happening here in Song of Songs? The female is speaking for the most part, and she has gone to bed in her home when her male lover comes and knocks on her window. And she kind of flirtatiously flirts back with him. Oh, I can't answer the door. What am I supposed to do? Get dressed again? Like, I can't get my feet dirty? Like, kind of messing with him. And then she goes to open the door and he's gone. And so she goes out into the city to search for him. And while she is out in the city, it says that she encounters the night watchman, and it's their job to protect her. But instead, she says, "They found me, the guards who make their rounds in the city. They struck me, bruised me. They took my shawl away from me. Those guards of the city walls." Um, So it's unclear why it is that the guards strike her and bruise her. The taking of her shawl is what suggests that they've exposed her body to shame, if not to assault her, not to sexually assault her. So um, Some have suggested that the guards assume that she's a prostitute roaming the streets, beating her without understanding that she's a distraught citizen in need. But I don't think any of us buy that as a reason to do it. So here in Song of Songs, we have what is believed to be a sexual assault by members of authority, by the guards who were meant to protect her. And um, unfortunately, this isn't a problem of the past. This is a problem of today. So we have just a few statistics that I wanna read to you, to share with you. So um, it is believed that 1 in 2 women have experienced sexual violence other than rape in their lifetime. 1 in 3 women will experience physical or sexual violence by an intimate partner. 1 in 5 women have experienced completed or attempted rape in their lives. 1 in 6 boys are sexually abused before the age of 16. Only 26.2% of men who experienced childhood sexual abuse disclosed at the time of the abuse. So it's a very hidden thing for these young boys. Um, Among college women, 9 out of 10 victims of sexual assault knew the person who sexually assaulted them, but fewer than 5% of completed or attempted rapes against college women are reported to law enforcement. Um, 1 in 5 men have experienced sexual violence other than rape in their lifetime. So it's 1 in 2 women and 1 in 5 men. And I think often we forget that men also experience this sexual violence. We don't talk about that as much, or you hear about it as much. So 18% of men have reported experiencing verbal street harassment. And nearly 1 in 67 men in the United States have experienced rape or attempted rape. 67.5% of instances of rape are estimated to go unreported. 67.5% of instances of rape are estimated to go unreported. So, those are just a few facts for you to know. Those numbers are staggering for me. So, I didn't really know much about sexual assault and rape until I was in college, where we had a SARA group, Sexual Assault Response Advocates. And our SARA group, April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So in April, they did this t shirt thing where they gave a colored t shirt to 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men at that point in time, to represent the statistical number of people on our campus who had experienced assault or rape. And so that day you saw all of these shirts, and it was just staggering to see all of those shirts, and to know that so many um, victims and survivors were by themselves because they felt unsafe in reporting. They felt people wouldn't believe them if they reported. They didn't know how to go about it, or even were encouraged by someone they told not to report it. And that's still the case today as well. A lot of times, if a victim comes forward and reports, there's a lot of disbelief. There's a lot of victim blaming, and a lot of times the perpetrator goes unpunished or gets very minimal punishment, and doesn't seem to be judged as harshly as the victim. So I bring this up so that we can be aware. Part of solving any problem in our society, in our world, is awareness, is to know that this astronomical amount of sexual assaults and rapes are happening in our world. 1 in 2 women and 1 in 5 men. That's crazy. Just think about your block, the number of people on your block, or even in your own household, um, and and how terrifying that number is. Um, so, some things that we can do, though. First off, we can know that we can believe survivors. So, if somebody tells you that they've experienced rape or sexual violence, simply say, "I believe you. I am here to listen to you." When you hear someone victim blaming, challenge them. It doesn't matter what she was wearing. It doesn't matter where she was at. Um, it doesn't matter any of those things. This should not happen. It's not okay. So challenge victim blaming when you hear it, and respect boundaries. So really focus on consent and helping others understand consent, that only yes means yes. And to make sure that others understand consent, and that consent one time does not mean consent forever, and that consent can be revoked. These are all very important things to know. Also, know that there is a hotline that people can call, um, to report, to get help, to find someone to talk to. And so that number is 800-656-HOPE. Once again, that's 800-656-HOPE, which is 800-656-4673. 800-656-4673. And that is not only for victim survivors to call and to get help, but that is also for you as somebody who maybe needs resources to help a loved one. This is a confidential line that is available 24/7 for survivors and their loved ones. Services are free, confidential, and always available. They'll offer you resources, ways to talk, somebody to talk to if you're a victim survivor. Um, and this is available by phone, or you can even use the online chat. So if you want to use the online chat, you can go to RAINN.org. Again, that's RAINN.org. And you'll be able to live chat with somebody on their website. Um, and this is for anyone at any age as well. Some things that we can do individually in our communities. We can educate ourselves in our family, in our community. So, a few movies that you could film, that you could watch or have watch parties of: The Hunting Ground, I Am Evidence, Roll Red Roll. Those are three movies that are recommended by the national advocates for sexual assault victims. Um, Another thing that they recommend is painting kindness racks with messages for support of survivors. So we've all seen those kindness racks, but these would be a little bit more targeted messages, such as "I believe you," "You are not alone," "You are courageous," "You matter." Um, so some of those messages that would be particularly important for a survivor to hear, to paint those and put those in well-trafficked areas, because we know that it is happening here in our community. We know that 1 in 2 women and 1 in 5 men in Jessup as well, statistically speaking. The other thing is they recommend chalking the walk with consent messages. So, a big part of sexual assault advocacy work is explaining what consent is and how consent works. And so, chalking the walk with consent messages, yes means yes, is a huge one, is a huge consent message. Um, and there are tons of other resources out there and ideas as well for this. And maybe even creating a discussion around this passage in Song of Songs and how it makes you feel and how it makes your family members feel, or your Bible study group or your book club. Um, these would all be great opportunities for discussion, for education, for learning. You could even have a little study on this and then paint some kindness rocks together, or do some more research about how you can donate and help with local response groups or with national response groups as well. Um, this is a huge problem in our society today. We have seen it, especially in recent years, with very prominent social figures, and In some instances, it's been taken very seriously, but in other instances, we've done a lot of victim blaming as a society and a lot of judgment um, towards victims. So I encourage you to listen and believe our victim survivors. I encourage you to challenge victim blaming when you see it. I encourage you to spread awareness, to help educate, to share some of these statistics, to watch some of these films, to talk about Song of Songs with your neighbors, with your friends, with your family, and to make sure that voices are heard, that people are not struggling alone, and especially talk about consent with your children, with your grown children, even your college age students, your and start at a young age. Help them understand that their body is their own. So if somebody, always ask to give a child a hug, and if they say no, respect that and help them understand that they have the right to say no to that. Ask before you touch a kid in any way, shape, or form. My daughter has curly hair. She has beautiful, beautiful curly hair. Don't just touch her hair. Ask her, can I touch your hair? And if she says no, respect that. That is teaching our children that their body is theirs and that they have the right to tell people no. That is a huge step in consent, and in teaching consent from a young age. Um, also, help them understand what healthy relationships look like, um, and teaching them that. Asking, respecting no as an answer when even sharing a toy. If they don't want to share a toy, helping them respect that. Um, Teaching proper names of body parts. This is a huge thing in young children, so that if they are ever violated, they are ever assaulted, that they know the proper name to be able to tell somebody, so and so touched my vagina, so and so touched my penis, so that that can get reported and they can get help, and that can stop. When we use pet names for body parts, that's when people don't know that a child has been hurt or assaulted. So make sure you're teaching proper names of body parts. Make sure you're teaching consent. It's your body. You have the right to say no to a hug, to a kiss. You have the right to say no to someone touching your hair. And you also need to respect that. So before you give somebody else a hug, ask, can I give you a hug? And if they say no, then you walk away. That's their choice. These are little things that make a huge impact for the future of our children and our society, so that hopefully we can lower these numbers. So in the last 20 years, sexual assault numbers have been cut in half. Um, However, that doesn't mean that it's not still a problem. Um, and it doesn't mean that perhaps some of it doesn't go unreported as well. So we want to make sure that we continue to educate, and continue to teach our children consent and others consent. Um, so that's kind of my Woman Wednesday for today. It's not a comfortable one, but it is an important one. If you have other questions, if you would like some resources about teaching consent at any age, let me know. I'd be happy to get you some of those resources. If you want to watch a movie and have a conversation with me, I would love to do that. Know that I am here for you. And if you are a survivor, know that I will believe you, that I do believe you, and that you can talk to me. Um, let's pray. God, this is not an easy topic. It is a topic that is traumatic. It is so hard to hear, but it is a discussion that is necessary. Help us to open our hearts and minds to this information, to let it weave itself into us so that we might go out and change it, so that we might go out and make the world a safer place. God, be with those survivors, the ones who have support and the ones who are hidden in the shadows, alone. Help them feel your presence and your love. Help them to find that person who will listen and believe them. Help them to know that this is not their fault, that they are courageous and amazing. and that you and I are here for them. God, help us to take the experience of the Shulamite lover in Song of Songs, to share it with others, to educate, to raise awareness. Help us to believe survivors. Help us to challenge victim blaming. Help us to teach consent. God, we thank you for this difficult conversation today and ask that you might help us continue to have difficult conversations that lead to change. Amen. Thank you for joining me. I will see you in 2 weeks on June 24th for another Woman Wednesday. Bye, friends.